Gamashi over the weekend. I realized we're in the thick of affairs with the Homo.
Yes, we had the president, John Mahama, visiting us during the Omowo festival. And it was proper that we take him to certain key houses or palaces in the Gamashi area. So we had to take him to the Nii Yarboi, from Nii Yarboi to Bese, and then from Bese to Sempe. I think largely it was successful, and it was clear. I mean, the crowd, the love people showed him showed clearly that, I mean, Greater Accra is Gamashi. The heartbeat of Greater Accra is Gamashi. So what you saw is a representation of what will happen in Greater Accra.
Okay. Wow, interesting. But anyway, is the Homo over?
Well, I think that is one thing. A lot of people believe that after the Saturday events and all that,
that's the end.
That's the end. But there are many rites and other festive activities that happens after the Omowo and all that. The visit to Osikan and all that, where people will pray and ask for fortunes and all those, and drop coins in the sea and all that. So there are many rites after the Omowo celebration, but that is not so popular and open to everybody. So it's kind of people aren't that aware of it. But yes, there are rites after the Omowo festival itself in terms of the feast.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are a few concluding rites.
Yes.
They need to bring it to a close.
To a close.
I also realized that every, Gamashi have their own Homo. This person will do some, that it goes to Usu.
Yeah.
How does that work?
It is in order of, I should say, not priority. It's in a certain order. The Lantejanwe people do celebrate Omowo first. Okay. They are the light bearers of Gamashi.
Okay.
In fact, they are they hold the calendar of Gamashi. So under normal circumstances, they should be telling us, the Dantu Ulomo should be telling us which day to have the Omowo celebration and all that, because they bear the calendar. So they are the first to celebrate it. And then from that, it comes to Gamashi itself. Dantu is part of Gamashi. Okay. So it's basically the same thing, just that they have to do it first. And then when we are done, it moves out to other places like Osu, Labadi, or La, Teshi, and then onward they go. So that's how it is structured. Mashi is Mashi. Okay. Is the head. Yeah. So we have to start. Then the rest will follow.
Well, I have in the studio with me Nii Yarboi Annan, and I decided to just raise this because I wanted some information on this whole thing. And I should have invited you earlier, perhaps. Then I have plenty questions to ask.
Sure.
But in the meantime, he's a financial analyst in the studio with us to talk about the economy, where we are headed to now. First, before we even go there, a couple of predictions you made. The first one, your prediction was actually that we're going to make not $1 billion. We're not going to reach $1 billion. But you were kind enough to give us something around 900 million Ghana cedis when it came to the e-levy.
Yeah.
Government has reviewed it. The media budget review is a little over 600 million. So they are falling way short of your even your projection. What has happened?
Well, the reality has hit them. They were in some oblivious thinking, and I don't know what figures they were looking at, but I presuppose that they were looking at the same figures churned out by BOG in terms of what we were doing with mobile money and other transactions, and therefore they thought at that percentage they could still have raked in that much, forgetting that people will avoid taxes because of the nature of the tax that they are bringing in, and people will fly below the radar also because of the opportunities given under the tax system, that there is some amount of 300 Ghana cedis that is exempt also. Now, as we speak, it is clear to everybody that basically there is no exemption. Even when you send 50 cedis, you are paying the e-levy and all that. Plus or minus. I think they shut it down also, looking at the investor community and reposing confidence over the few months left, so that if they are able to outperform their targets, it will look to investors as if we have rebounded back, which is not the case. I still give them up to that 900 because that's what they might achieve at the end of the day. They would do better and come to us and say, oh, our target was even 600 million and we had made more in terms of 900, and let's watch it. I think that is what is going to happen, because you see, this government for 6 years have run a ponzi scheme.
A ponzi scheme?
Yeah, on all of Ghanaians. This is the biggest ponzi scheme in Africa.
But what, first of all, I'll come to your ponzi scheme suggestion, but I want to go back. You're saying that they've set a lower target.
Yes.
That they are sure if they may be able to exceed to a certain point.
Yeah.
So that it creates an impression that the economy is rebounding.
Yes.
To achieve what you said, you have already set 6 billion. Everybody read that budget. Yeah. You are setting something that's 10% of your initial target.
Yeah.
Do you think that whole approach will do anything?
Yes, I think that is the strategy they have adopted. And I say so because of the figures in the mid-year review. If you watch the figures critically, there are a lot of issues with those figures in there. Well, I don't think we have raised enough issues with those figures.
Okay.
If you look at the indirect section in terms of the lines, in terms of NHIL and the COVID levy and the other levy, the Get Fund levy, if you look at them critically, and you are suggesting that they have the same tax base, right, and therefore they should achieve the same results. So if I have 1,000 cedis and it will get taxed at 2.5 on two lines, two tax lines, the Get Fund, and then the NHIL at 2.5, then we should be getting 25 cedis per se on both lines. Now, if you check what they have shown, they have brought in something below. I think one is about 1.1, and the other is 1.4 or so. So what will account for that? Are you suggesting that we will have shortages or what? Now, when you check, and this is the outturn, this is the budgeted, and then the outturn rather indicates that you have made 1.476 billion on each line, on these two lines.
And that is what it should be, shouldn't it?
Yes, that is what it should be.
They are all charging the same rate on virtually everything.
Exactly.
Wherever any child appears, Get Fund appears.
Exactly. So if your projections are one lower than the 1.4 that was turned out, you have no business projecting lower compared to what you have achieved.
Okay.
Unless you are saying that businesses are going to dry up.
Okay.
If not, then the other aspect is that if you take the NHIL levy and you gross it up to the tax base and you compute what you should be getting in terms of taxes, then it should be more.
Okay.
Yet they are reporting less. So for me, I think yes, it gives me a signal that okay, let's bring the figures down, and hoping that we would achieve more than that, and then make the issue or let investors realize that the economy is getting back
The
onto its
response
feet.
is a downgrade. Two downgrades. So
Because they could read through the lines. You know, Fitch had maintained us at B negative.
Yeah.
When all these Moody issues and Fitch,
Moody's,
S&P had maintained
yes,
us,
yes.
and Fitch and Moody had insisted and downgraded us to CA1 or so. And so, for me, it was just like coming back to reality and saying that yes, what we should have done some months back in February, which we did not do. Look, it's obvious now. Let's do it. The media budget actually brings us no confidence. They expect to achieve that confidence at the end of the day when they have, go beyond the budgets or the targets in terms of revenue, just to show that, oh, well, we've done well.
So all targets have been lowered so that if those targets are exceeded, it creates the impression of a rebound.
I think one of the major lines in our revenue handles are the indirect taxes.
Okay.
And that is what have been lowered.
Okay. Well, of course, I didn't miss that. You said the government has been running a ponzi scheme.
Yes.
Ponzi scheme.
Yes.
That's criminal. In fact, people have been in jail for years because they ran Ponzi schemes.
Yes.
What do you mean when you say the government is running a Ponzi scheme?
Well, you know how Ponzi schemes are run. I mean, where you kind of promise so much in terms of returns, you get more new investors to bring in money, and when that money comes in, then you use that to actually pay old investors, and then you rake in more money. You know, so you keep making yourself look good,
Okay.
and that is what this government have done. What they did was that they accumulated so much debt.
Okay.
And then they made us feel that, they are investing most of these debts at very productive sectors. And it was all good around 2018, 2019. And a lot of us should have confidence in the economy, in the Eurobond markets everywhere. You know, a lot of confidence. If you could remember, we were getting interest rates on this, our yield on this sovereign bonds at a very lower rating, because we had shown some good financial reporting, you know, and all that, based on what has happened under His Excellency President John Mahama's regime. The benefit of that was seen in 2017, 2018, and all that. So by 2019, we were looking good. I mean, and therefore we decided that we would borrow more and more only to finance current expenditures.
Okay.
Not really about investments that could pay back or could provide enough returns. So we looked good, and the result of that is that a lot of us went into savings. So our savings and time deposits grew over the period.
Okay.
And that also gave government an available loanable funds with our commercial banks.
Okay.
And they went there borrowing also on the local market as well, issuing bonds after bonds on the local markets, doing what? All for current expenditures. And then we all bought into it. And then this is the end of it. I mean, this is when reality hits you in any Ponzi scheme.
You're saying this is the whole scheme?
Yeah.
And the scheme started with borrowing to make government look, to make the books look good.
Yes.
Basically,
Your reserve looks good. I mean, your balance sheet looks so good in terms of your assets base. You are showing so much assets, right? But those assets are non-performing assets.
Okay.
So what you took those loans for was to just show that we have some assets. We've built up our asset base, but in reality, your asset base cannot produce back anything to you.
Okay.
You get me?
Okay.
But that gave a lot of people confidence, you know.
So they put a lot more money with the banks.
The banks and savings. A lot of people were participating in the bonds and all that. The commercial banks were seeing an increase in terms of deposits and all that. And therefore, they thought, well, this is a good scheme. Let's run it. And they ran it till it failed them.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's why you call it a Ponzi scheme.
Oh, yeah, it's a clear Ponzi scheme. The figures show that it's a clear Ponzi scheme that has been run on Ghanaians.
How do you run a country like a Ponzi scheme?
Yeah, it has been done. It has been done in several places. In Lebanon, a similar thing has been done. The whole country was run on a Ponzi scheme. People were made to believe that the Lebanese economy is good. People working outside Lebanon have so much trust in their banks. They were saving a lot of their investments, returns back home in Lebanon and all that. They were made to feel that, yes, everything is all right with our banking system, in our financial setup. And then, boom, after the blast, everything went haywire.
So we're always, you were of the opinion that, but you said, were you also reeled in any way? Because I'm sure you also
we all look at, Ponzi scheme are so sweet that you will by all means take a bite of it if you have the chance. If the returns are good, inflation was kept at a certain position, the interest rates were looking good, the pricing in terms of the bond market were not deteriorating and all that, and we were borrowing to government, thinking that it's going to pay off in terms of revenue. Now it shows that we are not generating revenues enough. Now, Ponzi scheme, how are they run? You invest your money. The investing company takes your money and invests it in several portfolios.
Okay.
And these portfolios are supposed to bear fruits in terms of income.
Okay.
For them to share with you. Okay. So that is the same thing that happened. We saw a good book, and therefore we all put our money in there, hoping that it will generate enough tax revenues for us all to share in. Now, it is clear that the revenues aren't coming. We show so much growth, right, before COVID. Even after COVID, we had told ourselves that we have recovered so quickly. Our growth was in the positive and all that, when others were showing negative. We showed positive growth. And so a lot of people still continue to have confidence in us. And what happened? We are not today able to generate enough revenues in terms of tax revenues. It is only one thing, because what was the loans meant for?
Okay.
The loans were meant to produce assets that can generate revenues.
Okay.
End of story. So all these facilities we have gone for, we were told there was some assets. Okay. We have grown in terms of assets. The asset growth is so much. Why is it not bearing fruits?
So you are saying that there was a certain confidence created,
yes,
in the economy.
Yes.
And that belief then informed investors who then saw, a country that looks well, economy looks healthy.
Yeah.
I should put money into this country. Yeah. But what you are saying and what the government is saying are two different things. They are saying what that's not the problem. The problem is that COVID came at a time they didn't anticipate, hit the economy, and then now we see a challenge that everybody else sees. That, but for it, we'll be doing better.
Well, that argument, I think, it's a weak argument. We are not alone in this world, and in our immediate surrounding in the West African sub-region. I mean, who is facing a similar challenge as we are? Who? Next door, Ivory Coast is a good comparative sister country we can have. What is happening there? Are they having the same issues? What is the debt? What is their debt to GDP? As we speak, it's not over 60%. You are close to 83%. What happened? What happened to you? COVID hit you alone. COVID hit us more than they did. We said we did well with COVID. Next door, Ivory Coast, we assume they did poorly with COVID. Who should be in financial crisis? I mean, some of these rhetorics must leave us. We must get serious with the issues of this economy. I mean, they can't keep pretending. And that is the reason why we keep sinking. You've run a Ponzi scheme. I mean, you've been found out. Let's come back and let's admit our faults. And let's try to take actions that will put us back into proper recovery, not the recovery that they are projecting.
Well, I have Nii Yarboi Annan in the studio. Very interesting analysis he's putting across. He is saying what the situation we find ourselves in is because government basically ran a Ponzi scheme. We found a way of looking good, taking money from investors to pay other investors until we got to the point where everybody realized, no, this is what you are running. And you're struggling, you are not in the position to pay back those debts. Now everybody has seen the scheme. That is, well, that is basic. Do you think that's what's reflecting in everything? Inflation,
yes,
CD,
yes.
Because I can understand the point when it comes to debt.
Yes.
How do you explain away the matter of the CD?
You see, there is a significant portion of the debt that we acquire that went into projects that only benefit political personalities in this country.
Okay.
Getting huge margins, I mean, across our Greek sector, almost everywhere.
Okay.
Infrastructure everywhere. And that got them a lot of liquid assets in terms of cash.
Okay.
CD. What would they do with that? Knowing that these monies are made out of no work. It will chase a few dollars we have in the system. Because the moment COVID hit, everybody was looking for a safer currency to use. Therefore, the dollar found favor with most investors.
Okay.
And that is a similar thing that happened here. And a lot of the dollars were purchased. And the BOG keep financing the difference or the upsurge in demand until we have depleted our foreign reserves so much.
So
to
the
this
money
level of 3 billion.
So you're saying the dollars that the BOG basically put into the market was just basically absorbed by the same people who were looking for a safer way to put it.
Exactly. You see, when you bring in these debts, BOG don't spend dollars. They would have issued more cedis against the receipts in terms of the debts.
Okay.
So we had more cedis in circulation because of the projects we had invested in.
Okay. Okay.
Which people are making outrageous profits out of.
For example, the person who gets to buy the fertilizers,
Exactly.
who gets the contract
Exactly.
to import the fertilizers that you're using for planting for food and jobs.
Exactly. And this is where most of the original actors within these industries have been kicked out. And a few political class were the ones enjoying all these benefits. Knowing that power is transient and looking for power beyond 2024, they all started accumulating wealth. But would they save in cedis? No, it wasn't a reliable currency.
Okay.
So they were all chasing dollars. So the cedis that were put in the system based on the debts that we have brought in went back demanding for dollars.
Yeah. So that's where the problem of the CD started.
Exactly. Because a huge portion was not used for brick and mortar. A huge portion were not used for labor. A significant portion of these projects' receipts found themselves chasing dollars.
That's interesting. Because majority of what the BOG puts in all the time, we are told is supposed to help imports, like those who are bringing in crude, those who are bringing in all the consumables we use. That is why they put the money in there.
Yes.
How does that money then find themselves in pockets of people who are just looking for money to keep?
Well, you should understand that in Ghana we have dollars in circulation.
There's always dollars in circulation.
There is always dollars in circulation. There is dollars in our pockets. We are holding dollars. In some places, you can even spend the dollars.
In places in Ghana?
Yeah, you can spend the dollars. We are always holding dollars. And therefore, it tells you that there is always demand for the dollars. The commercial banks will say, yes, we are giving it to the BDCs, we are giving it to importers, we are giving it to this, we are giving it into that. In times like this, there is no under-invoicing basically. People will try and do over-invoicing because they will want to have money out of the system. This is one thing that the IMF have kept advising us on, that the restriction on what monies you can travel with and all that has not been best for all of us.
Okay.
We allow people to use unapproved means to take monies out of this country with these porous borders that we have and all that. I mean, the black market has been the main determinant of price when it comes to the dollars. And I would say that is the real price of the currency.
The black market?
Yes.
So at this point, the black market determines...
Absolutely. No businessman in this country can tell me that he's using the rates on BOG websites to determine the price of his commodities on their shelves. None of them. No company.
Because now the dollars are not coming from the BOG. They are not
BOG couldn't, even when they were doing all these forest auctions and all that, they couldn't provide everything for the business people or the importers you are talking about. These importers always have to go back to the black market to buy dollars. The commercial banks are aware of that. That you see companies drawing out cedis and bringing back dollars.
So companies take CDs out of banks
Yes.
When they come back, they come and open a dollar account.
Yes. In fact, in terms of our M2 plus figures, deposits of foreign currencies deposits have gone up significantly as of May. And that tells you, while savings have dropped. So it is clear what is happening. Unless you say you don't want to monitor the market and what is going on the market, or they want to tell us that they are living somewhere else apart from Ghana. If not, if we are all in this country and we know what is going on, then I'm sure what I'm telling you, they know.
They know that people, the best investment people are doing nowadays is buying dollars and just depositing in commercial.
That's the only way people can keep their business going. All these importers, they will go to the BOG in terms of last resort. And ask yourself, even when the banks get the dollars from BOG, how much are they selling it? They are using the forest bureaus, their rates as their benchmarks. Sometimes they are even higher than the forest bureaus.
Okay. The banks?
The banks.
They usually have lower rates.
Oh, you see it on their bots, not when you ask for it. When you ask for it, they will tell you what you are demanding. We can only give it to you at this price. That is the reality.
Is it a matter of regulation or is just the market playing out?
It is the market playing out, plus a failed policies and regulations that we have. They've all failed. And that is why we need to go back and look at those policies. Let us just be true to ourselves. That is all we demand.
Because I recently was reading, in fact, the Bank of Ghana, one of the things it has to emphasize at this time is that the fact that dollarization is not allowed. To spend dollars within this economy, said it's not allowed at all.
They cannot control it because both market ends, in terms of users and those trading and all that, have agreed to do it. And that becomes very difficult. Connivance is something that most audit techniques cannot find out. Connivance is something that you can barely do. You can't do anything really about it. If you are willing to take dollars, and I'm willing to pay dollars to have whatever service you are providing, right? We will do it.
And no audit can detect that.
No audit can detect that. Because you will not go and show in your books that this is what you did. And I will certainly not also show. So how do you detect it, BOG? Because you see, me buying and you selling, we all have a same challenge. I have the challenge that says that my CD on its own strength, not compared to any other currency, based on the CPIs, have fallen so much by 50%.
So your suggestion is that even if we are not looking at how it was performing against the major trading currencies, the CD itself, its value within its jurisdiction, has fallen significantly.
Yes.
You're using inflation to do that assessment.
Exactly. The opening CPIU minus the closing CPIU, you multiply it by your, let's say, 100 cedis, you know the value of your 100 cedis today. So if I was holding 100 cedis in 2019, what is the value today? the value would probably be around 40 Ghana cedis. What it means, yes.
2019.
Yes.
So between you're saying that because that is, you're saying the city has lost 60% of its value since 2019.
Absolutely.
That is even using it within Ghana. So I am going to buy.
No, that is the Baumia logic. I don't know where he took that from. But every currency must be measured on its own strength. That is the purchasing power of the currency.
Okay.
If you had taken 100 cedis to the market and you could buy 3 items, today you can barely afford one.
That's correct. That's actually true.
Yeah, so without comparing the cedi to any other currency, on its own has fallen based on inflation. But are you rewarded enough for that? Assuming you have put these monies in savings,
okay,
you wouldn't have made close to 60%.
So you're saying that if somebody kept, let's assume 10,000 Ghana cedis in savings in 2019,
yes,
the person would have been better off using that 10,000 cedis to do something.
Yes, so if
than keeping it,
yes,
because the value would have
completely
been eroded.
And if he has nothing to do with that money, but would spend one day that money in cedis, then the best option is to look for dollars.
Oh. Okay, so take your 10,000, go and buy dollars now.
Yes.
And put it back.
Exactly.
Oh, I see. So that's what a lot of people are seeing, and that's what they are doing.
That is the upsurge in demand.
So no interest rate offered you on a cedi investment is worth it?
No, none. None.
If I say, Nii Yarboi Annan, give me 20,000, I can guarantee you 20%, 25% interest rate.
You work it out. The 91 days interest rate is around 20%. Just check some 3 months ago if you had bought dollars, right, at let's say 8 cedis. Do you know the capital gain now? It means on each dollar, from 8 to 10 cedis, you have made 2 cedis already.
Yeah.
No investment can give you that.
Within a few days.
Yes.
Wow.
So this is the crisis we are in. And that is the failure of BOG.
Okay. So is BOG that has failed?
Oh, yes. Our monetary policy section have totally failed us. We know that the fiscal had failed long ago. But what has failed us most is our monetary policy. BOG has failed totally. I was here in the studio when I said that looking at the inflation rates and how it is going, galloping, setting interest rates or the MPR rates at 17% is a no-no. They did it at 17%. Now they come and then 19% at another time. You see, they are chasing what inflation. The market is actually telling them. And they are always a step behind. Why are they calling emergency meetings now?
But even that move, because if you speak to the traders, they tell you that move hasn't worked out.
Oh, of course.
That increasing interest, the policy rates, in order to contain inflation, has failed woefully.
It will fail because it is not real. Inflation now is over 30%. And you are compensating me for keeping my money in time savings. At what rate? 20%, 21%. Will you take it? No, you are 10% behind.
But their analysis is also that what we are looking at is, they call it a cost push inflation. So they are thinking that the resolution is not increasing interest rates?
Well, the cost push inflation has been persistent. That should tell you it is not just about cost push. It's about also pricing behavior based on your failures.
Pricing behavior?
Yes. If the cedi was at 8 cedis, then all of a sudden it moves to 9, and then all of a sudden we are at 10, what will you project? Next month we'll be at 11. So why should I price the goods on my shelf at 10? So that by the time I would turn stock into debtors, into cash, that period, assuming is 30 days. By the time I would get back to my suppliers, I can only afford fewer than I used to buy in terms of stock. And therefore, if I want to remain in business, I have to be proactive with pricing. That culture was something we shouldn't have allowed it to cripple in. The farmer have all of a sudden realized that, okay, my inputs have not really gone up. But anytime I go to the market to buy, the prices have changed. And therefore, when I also get my produce out and I am selling, I will offer it for something more than my cost plus effort plus my margin, so that I can go back and do my farming and have some for self-gratification. That is what is happening. So what we are suffering today, it's more of a very negative pricing culture out of bad policies of government, both the physical and monetary.
Pricing culture?
Yes.
Negative pricing culture. But essentially your explanation tells me that is somebody's trying to survive.
Yes, they are trying to survive, but it is negative on us all. We are looking at it from the consumer point of view.
Okay.
And the consumer is the one determining everything. You see, it gets to a point where you cannot afford 3 balls of kinky. You will do with probably 1. Whether you are satisfied or not, you would have to cut down and just do with 1.
Okay. You can't do more than 1.
Yes,
because
or
you can't afford
exactly
more than 1.
Or the other option is to move out to another territory where what you have can afford 2 or 3, which is unlikely for all of us to do. So what we will do is now we would have to reduce consumption. If we are not prepared to reduce consumption, then we need to ask for more. And that is where the negative behaviors set in.
Is that a verdict? Because if I get to the point where I'm doing small business, I look at everything that's happening around me, I realize, no, in order for me to even survive, I have to price my goods, not looking at how much I bought them, but how much I anticipate they may cost in the future.
Exactly.
If I get to that point, is that a statement on how I feel about my government's ability to resolve the situation?
Yes, that's a statement. That's a judgment.
So it's a vote of no confidence in government's ability.
Exactly. When we say people lack a confidence in the economy and blah, 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 this is exactly what we mean. You have no confidence that the next 6 months, the rates at which you are buying dollars today will remain same. Absolutely.
So if I have some, I keep.
Yeah.
And if I am buying, if I buy some, and for example, this morning, I was a little surprised, taken aback, because I'm being told that the BDCs are currently buying majority of their dollars for 10 cedis, 20 pesos. And they too are setting their prices using an exchange rate of 11 cedis, 50 pesos. That sounded amazingly high for me. But per your analysis, you're saying that is across
Yeah,
the
that's
economy.
across board. Across board.
Can that be resolved?
Well, it can be resolved if, again, you have the right people in place.
What do they do? You mean if you have the right people in place?
Yes.
Right people? What are you thinking about? When you say the right people, who are you talking about?
You know, confidence comes from all sort of angles. If I know you will deliver the morning show as expected, right? I wouldn't have to turn my dial. I'll keep it at 90.5. So I have confidence in you. This morning when you said Nii Yarboi Annan will be in your studios, people had confidence that once you have said it, I will be here, because it has happened severally. But if any time you say A, it turns out to be B, C, D, and that sort of, I may hear you saying something and I'll still turn my dial off. I might be interested in the conversations that you might have with the said person, but I may still turn my dial off, because there is another place where they are consistent. Whatever they say happens.
Okay.
And here is a man who continuously tells us that we'll do so much in terms of tax revenue. Then few months back, you have to reduce it so much to about 96. A man that says that, oh, if we put this much in, the CD will stabilize. And then whether they put it or not, we heard that they put it in, and still it is going up. The CD dollar rate is still out of range. Why would I trust you again?
So you're saying there's a loss of confidence in the managers of the economy.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yes.
Is it only on the fiscal side or the monetary side?
Both.
So the governor of the Bank of Ghana ideally should also be
He
gone.
should have been
the finance
first,
minister gone.
They should have gone long time ago.
Because when you talk about these issues, there are ministers of trade in here, the minister for agri, there are other ministers that.
Yes, if you have sacked these two people, not even to ask them to resign. You see, some of the things that happen in certain jurisdictions, we may not understand. That you have been a person have been relieved of his post, has been sacked. I mean, when you promise a nation, a whole nation, that we would do this or we would achieve this result, and you are unable to do it, what you should have is a sack. And that tells people that this is a government that means business. This is a government that will not accept mediocrity. This is a government that is expecting nothing but results. But when you do the opposite, what it tells everybody is your intentions are not really about the results. It is beyond the results. And in terms of trust, when trust is lost, you are gone. You are done. Money is all about trust. If I don't trust you, I won't put my money with you. If you don't trust most of your bankers, will you put money in there? No.
Because there has been done persistent call. In fact, that call has even, and I'm sure you've heard the president's response.
Yeah.
Because it's come from former President Mahama. It comes from even Kobna Japan, within their own party. There are persistent calls to please just look at the managers of the economy and change. Are you surprised at the president's direction?
I'm not surprised.
Why?
It's out of touch.
The president is out of touch.
Yeah.
Things are so bad, nobody
He's
can be out
living
of
in
touch.
Alabama.
He's living in Alabama.
Yeah.
No, but this is, look at the current circumstances. Is it possible for a leader to be out of touch under the circumstances?
Yeah, he's out of touch. That is the truth. That is the truth. That is the only thing that can be the reason for what is going on. He's out of touch. And excuse me to say, in his cabinet, there is nobody there who is man enough to say, we have failed, and therefore I am resigning. Anybody in this present cabinet does not deserve in the future to hold any position in this country.
Nobody in the cabinet.
What happened to those they claim were having or running ponzi scheme in these countries? Haven't they barred them from being directors of other companies? I'm saying the current cabinet of His Excellency President Akufo-Addo, none of them, excuse me to say, Ghanaians will be foolish enough to put any of them in a position of trust in the future.
I haven't said that. You do know. Vice President Baumia, Alan Chamantin, Kojo Usu Efri, no, did I get his name right? Efri Akoto, Dr. Efri Akoto. At least the three of them are currently deeply involved in the flag bearership race of the New Patriotic Party. If any of them win,
well,
they'll be standing for the presidency of this
country. I really don't care about their future aspirations. It is for every man to dream. They can dream. I am saying the onus is on Ghanaians not to be foolish. Excuse my language. For Ghanaians not to be foolish, to ever bring people who have run a Ponzi scheme, run a nation down to its knees, put them in any form of position of trust ever again in this country.
But what really would a change? You're saying the basic thing is confidence.
Yes. I mean, I find myself sitting at the boardroom of a company that is so drowned with debt that almost every asset they have invested in, right, have failed to perform. Monetary policies that were set have all failed. Fiscal policies, in terms of agric, whatever, have all failed. And I sit in that cabinet, and I don't see, or that boardroom, and I don't see anything being done. And I can see an imminent crash, a total crash of this country's economy. And I sit there, take my pay, walk shoulder high, heads up. If you should go for any interview and you are asked that what happened whilst you were there, what will you say to the people who are interviewing you?
If I was the energy minister, I'm doing my job.
Doing what job? Doing what job?
Because every minister has their mandate. If I'm not running the economy, I'm not running the economy.
Look at our energy sector. Right. Look at our energy sector. What are we paying for? We are paying for wasting. We are paying for waste. How profitable has our energy sector been? Why is Exla still running? It's a sign of complete failure. We were told that our financial sector is performing so well. I'm telling you, if this government really, truly believe in what they did in the banking sector, they should have done similar thing at the insurance sector or subsector, because it is even worse there. Most of our insurance companies have collapsed even before they started. Their asset base is poor. They have invested in non-performing assets. We do not pray for that. But assuming there is some huge disaster in this country, I'm telling you, our insurance subsector cannot hold us. So if they truly believe in their conscience, in terms of what they did in the financial sector, they should do same in the insurance subsector. In the banking sector, they should do same in the insurance sector as well. I challenge them. They should clean up the insurance sector, because the rot there is 10 times more than what was in the banking sector.
As in the things that they suggested were being done in the banking sector that led to the collapse of the banking sector?
Yes, capital inadequacy, what. This is what we were told.
Yes.
I am saying, if that is the sole reason for doing what they did, they should repeat that same action in the insurance subsector, because it is long overdue.
Are you suggesting what was done in the financial sector, the reasons given, were not the real reasons for? Because these are banks, huge banks that were driving the economy in effect.
Look, the reasons for doing what they did was not capital adequacy.
They also talked about some of the things that were happening in the boardrooms of some of those banks.
And I'm saying more dangerous ones are happening in the insurance subsector.
And you have basis for this?
Oh, they know it. They know it. They know it. I don't want to say certain things here, and because probably it will point to one or two persons. But I'm saying what happened in the banking sector, the reasons advanced for what they did, and actors within know what I'm talking about. I am saying that at the insurance subsector, it is worse.
But before, because you were saying something, was that worth it? What they did in the banking sector?
No, it wasn't.
It didn't yield any results?
But that is an investment they took. Do you know Commercial Bank was paid by BOG to take up the Capital Bank because of the negative goodwill?
Paid?
Yes.
To absorb?
Yes. Government had to pay to absorb the Capital Bank and then one other, I think two financial, and then that of this retired military man. UT. They were paid. I am asking that after paying so much for them to take on those two banks, the inclusion of those two banks, have that yielded any results better than what GCB was doing already? Show us the figures. Let the figures speak for you. Why speak? The so-called consolidated bank, which the so-called good assets were brought together to form, what has been the results? Show us. Has it paid for it? Show us. How many years down the line? 2017, 2018, 2017, 2018, show us the results, show us the returns. The US did similar investments during 2007. Fannie, Freddie, and all those mortgage institutions and all that. They made billions in terms of returns after putting money in the financial sector.
But they didn't collapse there.
Government of Ghana, show us.
The US did not collapse them.
They have not totally collapsed the banks.
They've consolidated some.
They consolidated some.
GCB.
Put some, yes, there was an acquisition by GCB and all that. Even the so-called bad assets. How have you been able to handle it?
So there are critical questions for you to be answered after that whole cleanup.
Yes, if you come to me to take money, right? Borrow me money. Let me go and do business. When you come back to me, right, after a year or two, what are you supposed to show to me? You are supposed to tell me I've made so much profit, so I can give you so much back as a nation. Tell us, let them tell us. I mean, you see, the table is open. There are seats on the table. Let the men take the chair and answer the pertinent questions for Ghanaians to hear. Probably. We are kind of, like they say, lying and bad-mouthing them and all that.
You're a Jeremiah.
Exactly.
Because that's the president's description.
Yes.
You are a naysayer, a
detractor.
Your intention is to, in fact, the call that you've made, that the finance minister, for example, now you've added the governor of the Bank of Ghana. He said two things. Either you are seeking a job or you are seeking to destabilize his government.
Well, you see, there are companies that when they employ you as their financial controller or head, you are so happy to join the company because if you check their books, they are running good. So you just join in and run. There are companies that they put it on the table for you and you want to run away from it. It is not everybody who will take up such companies. Without mentioning it, I had to restructure a company in 2008. I looked at the books, and the only option was to run away because it was too bad.
You couldn't restructure?
No, I look at it and everywhere is a mess. Thankfully, I accepted the challenge. And that company today is contributing so much in terms of taxes to this government or to this nation. Offering anybody those two positions is not a luxury.
You are giving the person work to do.
In fact, it is a yoke on your neck, as the Bible will say it.
But it's still within government, and the perks that come with it and everything.
Well, that is the thing. If it is only about the perks, I'm sure those there would have even run away from it. Yeah, they would have even tendered their resignation. They are getting more than the perks. The benefits there are more than the perks, and they know it. And that's why they cannot move.
And that's why he says that those benefits are also attracting others who want those positions. That's why they are calling.
Well, in their party.
Okay.
So he can speak to his people. In fact, if you have monitored their recent elections, it is his own people that were screaming that they want reshuffle. They should come and tell us we are lying. We'll play it for them.
That there was a loud call for reshuffle.
There was a loud call for reshuffle at the Accra Sports Stadium. They should come and deny it, and we'll play it for them.
During the delegates conference when we were electing national executive.
Yes. So we are not calling for it. All people are calling for it. So yes, his people needs job. That means that for all this while, he has not provided job for his people. Now, for those outside of your government, of course, we know we cannot be made either the finance minister or the governor of the BOG. Highly impossible. So why would we think of it?
So then what is your intention? Because he's saying that then you intend to this, because his ministers have been outstanding.
Our intentions are that we cannot live in a country seeing it going down the road to an imminent disaster and watch on. We need to send the portents out there for them to wake up if they are sleeping. Our interest is to keep this country going beyond them. This country is certainly a going concern beyond his administration. Look, it wouldn't be an easy job if any government takes over from this bad mess they have created. It's not going to be an easy job bringing back confidence. It's not going to be an easy job turning away all the investments from the portfolios they have sunk it into.
Okay. So turning around the current situation will be a difficult job for any government.
And that is what we are warning against. That yes, you will go. You will go. You will leave the scene. But leave this country intact for the next administration, which Ghanaians will have to decide, not you. Not you. It's our chances are basically saying that I will even decide my successors.
Yes.
That is his utterances. That is what me, when I listen to him as a president, that is what I hear.
Yes, that's what he calls his next biggest political feat.
Yes.
To hand over to an MP.
Yes. Yes. Why? Why is he so interested? The famous airport speech by President Akufo, who says, I don't really care where it goes, whether right or left. I don't really care. He cannot say the same.
He cannot
say the same.
Take his hands off who becomes.
Yeah, he can't.
Why?
Oh, because of the mess they've created. Because we will only realize that the mess created are deeper than what we see today. If a government willing to do the job of a government comes into power.
It's 53 minutes past 9, and I have to conclude with you, but perhaps interest rates, businesses call it punishing. I was speaking to Gov't, where they are talking about, for example, you spoke. I remember how much you paid a lot of attention to freight charges. Gov't is complaining about that. Duties at the port, levies, other taxes that they are paying, that the decision to review the current VAT rates has not been helpful to them. They are complaining about exchange rates. We are inflation is killing us, food prices. Can it get better?
No, it cannot get better with this government if they don't turn around. Look, ask yourself that Ivory Coast next door have a way lower inflation rate, more stable economy. Yet, Ivory Coast have taken off duties from wheat, out of which we get our flour. Ivory Coast, they are not going through what we are going through here. But what have happened? They have taken off duties.
Duties?
Yes, off wheat.
All duties of wheat
is taken off.
So if we import wheat into Ivory Coast today, they won't charge zero.
Exactly.
Zero duty.
Zero duty.
Nothing.
Yes. So now, our market is feeding on that of Ivory Coast.
Oh. So we are buying Ivory Coast
flour. So what are you doing to the flour companies in this country? You are killing them. Why can't you checkmate what Ivory Coast have done? Why can't you take off that so that those who are buying flour can keep to the same volumes? Steve Dory charges have gone up, demanding dollars. Freights have gone up, demanding dollars. Everything. And these are essential commodities that affect pricing or inflation. Every day we get up, we either take bread or some kose or some buffaloat we call togbe and all that. Every morning. So flour is an essential commodity in this country and almost every country. And a government that is sensitive to the plight of its people, like that of Ivory Coast, have taken off duties. Why have you refused to do similar actions or to take on similar actions to protect industries within this country? We can't run as if everything is normal. No, it is not normal. So they only come out to shout, we are not in normal times. But what have you done
to fix it?
To fix it? Nothing.
Nii Yarboi Annan, thank you.
Thanks so much for having me.
Like you know, you'll see his face again. I'm not sure we are out of this yet. Well, question is, what will government do to fix the current challenge we are facing? Nii Yarboi Annan is a financial analyst. He joined me in the studio this morning. Once again, thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Before I go, let me remind you that if you need to help to buy or sell a property, if you need help to buy or sell a property, call Real Plan Estate and get sorted out. No matter what it is, they will help you out. They'll sort you out. They also have lands for sale at Weja, Kaswa, Amasaman, Oyibi, and Dodowa. Call them right now on 0244 646 230 or 0272 8989. 88. Real Plan Estate, real company for real people. Ochami is up next, but before that, if you're looking for a place, just like Ochami will provide right now on radio. So there's a place like Ochami around. It's called Magic City Sports Bar. If you are looking for a place to watch your favorite evening and weekend football games alongside great food and good company, then come over to Magic City Sports Bar, former Vanity nightclub, Akweje, behind Kingdom Books. That's at the Akweje bus stop. Magic City Sports Bar has the best bar and lounge in Osu, as well as large viewing screens for live football matches, pool tables, live band sessions every Friday evening at 10 p.m. and a variety of delicious meals from their restaurants. Magic City Sports Bar regularly hosts various exciting events such as Sip and Paint, Ladies Night, live band music, and many more. Good thing is you can have your birthday parties at Magic City Sports Bar for free. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook by searching Magic City Sports Bar or give them a call right now. 0542 999444. 0542 999444. Don't forget you can find them at Osu. Like I said, Chami is up next. Today he's spotlighting. In the spotlight is Miss V. Miss V. So play music from her. Tell you what you need to know about Miss V. She calls herself Davy. On the mid-morning show, the king of mid-morning is up next. My name is Sena Nombo. From myself and my team show produced by Yarboi Annan and Patrick Asford-Buedo. A big thank you to Mr. Robinson. A big thank you to Alaska B, Nancy Afrewa. Ranzo Kwesi Bwachi is back at 1 p.m. with Pampa. So sports is at 11:30. And of course, Ochami is up next. We are back tomorrow.
Let's all respect tomorrow. Tomorrow is our time. So respect the seconds of tomorrow, the minutes of tomorrow, the hours of tomorrow. Tomorrow. Let's all respect tomorrow. Tomorrow is our time. So respect
Radio Gold, 90.5 FM live and alive.
the minutes of tomorrow, the hours of tomorrow.
That radio invasion. Listeners are taking decisions. For so I won't mean justify conclusion. Anti committee attention. Yempe confusion. Among for sanction and kindly nanko hibernation. We say your commission or hippic solution. Your power station. Radio Gold 90.5 FM. The power and the glory. You could an high tension.
Minia, Aisha, when it's what you say, Ubesidan, Anna, Ubetwasasi, Awafi Mwana, and ye, Namika for Hat Builders Real Estate at the Amawo. Hat Builders Real Estate, Aminka Jose, one moon chankra, ma a finning conaria, and son of my omwa, Miss Sainty, wait dear, a your promotion. One must say one sasia, a wash no, what tete so at the about 10,000 Ghana cities, to a 3,000 Ghana cities po, me and Trey and Sasia, a wash no be, and Famau. Nafi, your momre, the Chiankaino kakra. Hat Builders Real Estate in Sassini Bisu Ewotopoli, was Sanso Tonton Adensi Honia Mabiebi, and so wow, Hat Builders Real Estate, Samika Jose, so one Kaswa to Assassin, Napasi Sudamauswa, you be Sinikama Edia Mau, was Sanso.